Hey there, and welcome to Strengthen Sisterhood, a podcast where faith, friendship, and fierce encouragement come together.
We're here to share stories that will inspire and lift each other up while we grow in faith together.
No matter where you are, we're here to remind you that you are never alone. With God and a little sisterhood, we're stronger together.
So grab a cup of coffee and get ready to be encouraged and empowered.
Hello, and welcome to Strengthen Sisterhood. I'm Amy.
And I'm Summer.
And we're really glad that you're here today. How are you doing, Summer?
I'm good.
Yeah?
It's podcasting day.
It is podcasting day.
I think every time we come on to record, we probably start out that way, I'm realizing. But it is. It's exciting. It's exciting when you come, and especially when you come bearing gifts.
I did come bearing gifts today.
You brought a blender and some frozen strawberries and some Fresca so we can make a smoothie.
Yes.
And
does that smoothie have a name?
I don't think so. I don't know. I guess I'll have to look. I don't know. But
I thought we should name it.
We should. We should come up with a name.
It's really good.
It is good. It's very good. But yeah, good day. What about you?
Yeah, it's a good day. It started out cloudy, which it has been for the past couple days.
Yeah, it has.
The mornings are always cloudy. It clears up in the afternoon, which I'm thankful for. But I enjoy sunny mornings, especially in the summertime.
Me too.
It's just really nice to wake up and have the room filled with
natural sunlight.
And then to like open up the windows and everything's just like bathed in this blanket of soft golden, and all the colors are just vibrant and bright blue sky, and
that's true.
It's just like makes you want to sing good morning,
good morning. It's a brand new day.
Good morning to you. But so I was very thankful that the sun came out this afternoon.
Good job.
And yeah, that I got to come over here and work on some podcasting stuff. We're still learning.
Yeah.
We're in the middle of a learning stretch.
Audio learning issues.
So if anybody who is listening has any experience or knowledge with microphones or audio equipment, feel free.
Yeah.
If you want to take some pity on some newbies. But yeah, we're learning, and that's just part of the process.
It
is. But I think we're doing pretty good. So today's topic, I'm kind of looking forward to it. It is Little as Much When God is in It. And which is the title of a hymn. And it just made me think there was a couple of things that I came across over the last week or so that were reminders to me that we serve a God of detail. Fascinates me even in Genesis when he's creating the world. And I think it's written, and he created the stars also.
Right.
Yeah, you go outside of city lights or town lights and you actually get out into the country and it's just like the vast amount of stars. Or you watch a meteor shower or anything like that. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
And you think, and it's just a couple of little words. And he created the stars also. So you just sprinkle like a little salt, a little seasoning on there. Like, you guys will enjoy these. But there's also, the thing with that too though, is there's designs in the stars.
Yes. Yeah.
I used to do a paper route when I was younger, and it always fascinated. Like, you always look for Orion's belt. You know, there's a Big Dipper, there's a Little Dipper, you know, there's Cassiopeia. Like,
yeah.
That stuff fascinates me.
Well, same with like when you're mentioning that, I think of snowflakes.
Yes.
And all the different snowflakes.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I think you sent me a picture of a snowflake that landed on your daughter's hair.
Yes.
Last winter. And we're just like, look at how defined it was.
And that was not edited in any sort of way.
Yeah.
I thought she literally had a silver like sticker that a kid would play with stuck to her hair.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait a minute, stay there. Or actually I told her first, you've got a sticker on in your hair.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hang on a second. I went over and took a picture of it and it was a snowflake.
Yeah. You can see the design of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So neat.
Such a small little thing.
We'll have to post that picture.
Yeah.
Whenever we get to when this one.
But Little as Much When God is in it. And it's just kind of a neat thought that's just been ruminating around in my head. So we're going to get it out today.
All right.
But before we do that, let's go fill up our cups.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Okay, So what is your fill up my cup moment this week?
My dad had called me this week to talk, and we talked for a while, and then he called me shortly after we hung up. He called me right back, and everybody knows that we've been in a funk. I've been in a funk.
Yes.
And so just kind of been dealing with some things, but he called me the second time and told me a joke, which this is not uncommon for my dad. He always is telling jokes.
He's a jokester.
He is. And
I like people who are fans of jokes.
He's a jokester, and he's a prankster, and he's playful in those things. Yeah. So he's always got something. He just, when he calls sometimes and he's like, so I got a question for you. That's when I know he's going to have to change what he does, because when he says, I got a question for you.
Okay.
And then he'll start talking, and I already know, like, what is this joke going to be? It's going to be ridiculous. And sometimes they're ridiculous, and sometimes they're really funny.
Yeah. So
he told me this joke, and it just made me chuckle.
Yeah.
And I haven't laughed much this last, week, 2 weeks, whatever. Yeah. And so that filled up my cup, but I want to tell you the joke.
Okay. Oh, good. I love these jokes.
So, what do you call a hippie's wife?
What do you call a hippie's wife? I don't know.
Mississippi. I thought it was so cute.
I like that. It fits. Mrs. I love that.
Yeah,
I love jokes like that.
Making my cheeks hurt. It's not even the first time I've heard it. Yeah, so I mean, that was good for me to laugh, and I don't know, laughter is good for you. It's good for your soul, good for your spirit.
Yeah,
it's good.
Yeah, I like that. Laughter is the best medicine.
Mm-hmm. What about you? What was your fill up my cup?
Well, I was trying to think about it this week, and I didn't really feel like there was any like one moment. Like, okay, so I was trying to think of the actual statement, right? Fill up my cup.
Yeah.
And so, like you mentioned, we've been in a funk or coming out of depression, and so that's not too much fun being in those. Mm-hmm. And you feel like your cup is empty. And so for me, it didn't really feel like there was just like one main thing that filled up my cup, but there was a few little things. Yeah. So it's kind of like when you go to a diner and, the waitress comes by with a pot of coffee. Oh, here, let me just, top that off for you. Here, just a little warm up, Mm-hmm. I remember my grandparents, I think my granny used to say that.
Did she?
Like, just a little warm up or something. Warm it up for me. Yeah. Aww. You pour some. And so there was a couple of different things. One of them was a friend of ours sent a text this week, and just the encouragement. Like, she said that she got caught up on the podcast and she enjoyed it. I actually think she mentioned that the Fill Up the Cup segment is one of her favorites.
Yeah.
But she even just mentioned, like, hearing the Bible verses that they hit just when she needs them. That was encouraging, because it came at a moment where, when you're in a funk or when you're in depression or dealing with those types of things, you second guess and you doubt.
Absolutely.
So I had even been just either that morning or even the day before was just thinking, like, why are we even doing the podcast?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I appreciate everybody who listens, but why are we even... Is it just a waste of time? Are we wasting these people's time? Like, I don't want to be a waste of time for people to listen to. But I suppose they would just turn us off and not listen if they felt that way. Just those thoughts come to mind, right? And so she sent that text right when it was needed, of just that encouragement of like, that it's been a help to her. Yeah. And so that filled up the cup a little bit. And then it's just been little things. There's a young man, I've known him since he was born. Actually, I remember going to the hospital and visiting him the day after he was born. So it's just crazy to think that he's a teenager now and nearly taller than me.
Yeah.
Which is weird. But he's just really sweet. He's a sweet kid. And he's made a point to give me hugs. Like, he hangs out with your sons. Mm-hmm. And so he's even been here when we've been recording before. Are you going to head out, Miss Amy? Or we're going to go and do this? Are you going to be here? No, I'm probably going to head out. Okay, well, I want to just give you a hug real quick. Mm-hmm. And even the other day, I was turned around and he was there. And I just want to give you a hug. Okay, my heart is melting, but thanks, buddy. It was just sweet. So it's just like little things like that. And even walking into church the other night, I think I have another little buddy that I've known that most of these kids, like, it's weird. You know that you're getting older when these kids are no longer like little kids.
Yeah.
You know? But I have a couple of us that are like that.
Yeah.
Buddies
Come
that
and give you a hug.
come and give me a hug. And it just means it can be little things like that. So that's why I kind of thought, I was like, oh, it kind of goes with the theme of little.
Yeah.
But there's just little things that kind of just, here, I'll top you off a little bit.
Right.
So, before
That's
you know,
good.
by the end of the week, your cup is pretty full.
Yeah. And then you can pour from it.
Yes.
But when you're empty, it's hard to pour.
Yeah.
So.
My cup overfloweth. My cup overfloweth. I know you're going to keep that.
Oh, absolutely.
So.
It's fun.
Well, with that, we'll go ahead and get into our topic. Okay, so little as much when God is in it. So this hymn, I don't know if I've done this for each episode where we've used a hymn as the title, but I kind of like to just read through the verses.
Yeah, it's a good hymn.
It is. It's pretty upbeat, but I'm not going to sing it.
Fine.
Little as much as when God is in it, by Mrs. F.W. Suffield. In the harvest field now ripened, there's a work for all to do. Hark, the voice of God is calling, to the harvest calling you. Does the place you're called to labor seem so small and little known? It is great if God is in it, and he'll not forget his own. Are you laid aside from service, body worn from toil and care? You can still be in the battle, in the sacred place of prayer. When the conflict here is ended and our race on earth is run, he will say to all the faithful, welcome home, my child well done. Little as much when God is in it, labor not for wealth or fame. There's a crown and you can win it if you'll go in Jesus' name. Little as much when God is in it, labor not for wealth or fame. There's a crown and you can win it if you'll go in Jesus' name. I can't help it. I love that song.
I do too, and I've been singing it ever since you brought up this topic. I've been humming it along for it.
Yeah, it's very catchy. It's one that just gets in there and kind of just sticks in the mind. So what came to mind with this topic was, I think we serve a great God, and he's done great and mighty things, but it's so interesting, and part of his dynamic is that he's also a God of details and a God who notices little things. I think a lot of times in the Christian life, I know I have felt this way at times, is, man, you have just such a strong desire. Lord, I want to do something great for you, right? And so what we consider, what's something great for God? Well, winning a bunch of people to Christ. Mm-hmm. Yep, that's great.
Yeah.
I don't know, that was kind of a thought that I had this week of who's doing the measuring of what's great for God? Just because God measures things differently than we do as humans.
Yeah.
So what might be great to us, some people might just think, well, build the church and grow the church. Well, there's huge churches out there with millions of people that come, or even within America. For some reason, I saw something this week that had the top 5 biggest churches in America. And they have, I don't think it was a million, but they had thousands.
Yeah.
Of people weekly that attend these churches weekly. And it was just man, praise the Lord if people are going, and that they're able to bring them in. But is that what would be considered great for God?
Right.
That's in human terms.
The bigger the better.
Human measurements.
Right.
Yeah. But what does God consider great? So it made me think of the story it's in Mark and in Luke, the widow who gave 2 mites.
Yeah.
And so I just want to read those verses. I think I'll read out of Mark 12. Open right up to Mark. Just got to flip a couple pages here.
Yeah, people always say bigger is better, but that's not necessarily true.
Sometimes I wonder how much of that is just the American mindset.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never thought of that.
We have listeners that live all over the world.
Right.
And I'd be very curious to hear from some of them if anybody would let us know.
Yeah.
We just are used to American culture and American mindset, and it can be very different on the other side of the globe. So, but yeah, bigger is better. That's their mindset. But it's interesting. And so it's in Mark 12 verses 41 through 44. And it says, and Jesus sat over against the treasury and beheld how the people cast money into the treasury, and many that were rich cast in much. And there came a certain poor widow. And I always think that's interesting. when the Bible says a certain, and
Yeah.
not just a poor, it could just simply say, and there came a poor widow, but a certain poor widow. And she threw in 2 mites, which make a farthing. And he called unto him his disciples, and saith unto them, Verily I say unto you, that this poor widow hath cast more in than all they which have cast into the treasury. For all they did cast in of their abundance, but she of her want did cast in all that she had, even all her living. So she cast in everything. Like, in man's standards, I mean, she threw in 2 mites.
Yeah.
That's what, barely a penny's worth or whatever. And so, yeah, by man's standards, we could look at that and be like, in comparison.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing is a lot of times we will compare ourselves amongst ourselves.
Right. And that's not wise.
Right. I'm not doing as much as that person, or that person is doing all this. But the Lord sees all that.
Right.
He saw that that's all she had.
Right. He knows what she has and what she gave. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And her heart behind it.
And I actually have it marked in here, just a reminder to myself or a note to myself. Do I do anything that would catch the Lord's attention? Like her offering caught his attention.
Yeah.
Is there anything that I do? Like, that's my desire. Mm-hmm. Lord, help me to do something. Even if it's, we say we want to do these great big things for God, but help me to do something that just catches his attention.
Right.
Where he'd be like, hey, called his disciples over. Did you see?
Right.
Did you see her wake up at 3 when I woke her up and she prayed for those people? Yeah. Or she prayed for that person.
Right.
Or when I prompted her to give that money to these people or whatever it might be. Just the prompts that he gives us. And I wonder sometimes, like, do I do anything that would prompt him to be like, hey, did you see that? Did you catch that?
Right.
That widow, what she gave caught his attention. And then the other, there's another story that I thought was just interesting. I didn't actually know this Bible story until I was a Sunday school teacher. It's interesting to me because it's in 2 Kings, and I actually found something online this week about it that talked about it, and I just thought it was interesting, so it brought it to mind, right along the lines with what we were talking about. But it's a story in 2 Kings, 2 Kings 6, and verses 1 through 6. And the sons of the prophets said unto Elisha, Behold now, the place where we dwell with thee is too strait for us. Let us go, we pray thee, unto Jordan, and take thence every man a beam, and let us make a place there where we may dwell. And he answered, Go ye. And one said, Be content, I pray thee, and go with thy servants. And he answered, I will go. So he went with them, and when they came to Jordan, they cut down wood. But as one was felling a beam, the axe head fell into the water. And he cried and said, Alas, master, for it was borrowed. And the man of God said, Where fell it? And he showed him the place. And he cut down a stick and cast it in thither. And the iron did swim. Therefore he said, Take it up to thee. And he put it out his hand and took it. Verse 7, actually. This is 1 through 7. And I just thought that was interesting because I found something online this week. And it talked about that story. Let's see if I can go into my notes here. Yeah, and the guy said, this is one of the weirdest miracles in the Bible. And almost nobody talks about it because it is interesting. Like, this is a story of a guy who was chopping wood. The head falls off his axe and into the water. Which the axe head is metal.
Right.
And metal is going to sink.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
But the Lord allows that metal to float. And it seems like such a small, it's hard for me to wrap my mind around this sometimes.
Put it in the Bible.
Yes.
To put something like that in the Bible, like, what's the purpose of it being there?
Yeah, this is a story amongst the fiery furnace.
Right, yes.
Amongst Daniel being thrown in the lion's den. Amongst the 10 plagues of Israel. Like, the Lord held the sun up one day. That story's in there. He made it dark in Egypt for days as one of the plagues.
Yeah.
He sent frogs all over. And then we also get a story of a guy.
An axe head.
Who borrowed an axe.
Yeah.
And as he went to chop it down, the axe head flew off. Like, what? Why? But it was interesting because this guy had an interesting approach. He said, this is one of the weirdest miracles in the Bible, and almost nobody talks about it. But it might be one of the most relatable things that God ever did.
Sure.
And so he says in 2 Kings 6, a man is helping build something near the Jordan River. While chopping wood, the iron head iron axe head flies off the handle and sinks into the water. And the guy, he panics. Not because he's hurt, not because of pride, but he's freaking out because the axe head was borrowed. It wasn't his. He didn't own it. He respected what belonged to someone else. So he runs to Elisha, who is the prophet of God. And I thought that was interesting. He didn't try to, as I thought about this story, he didn't try to fix it. He didn't try to hide it. I mean, he didn't jump in and try to retrieve it on his own. But his first initial reaction is to run to the man of God. I thought that was interesting. And then also Elisha's approach or response to him. Elisha didn't rebuke him and be like, it's just an axe head.
Right, no big deal.
Get over it. I'm sure there's plenty of pieces of metal down there, in the Jordan River. But instead, Elisha cuts down a stick, throws it in the water, and the iron floats. Iron doesn't normally float.
Right.
But God made it happen. So why? Why would he do that? Because this man cared. He had integrity. He honored what was borrowed. And God saw that and rewarded it. He showed up for that.
Yeah.
This man wasn't, it wasn't a war. He was not a king. He was not a man of prestige or anything like that. Just a man freaking out over a lost tool.
A borrowed lost tool.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's proof that God cares about what you care about.
Yes.
Even the little things.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah. What came to mind for you this week as you were setting out this topic?
Well, the thought that came to mind in the hymn that you read, one of the verses says, "Does the place you're called to labor seem too small and little known?" And it made me think of the time when I left my jobs and wondering, really, all I'm going to do now is take care of my kids. And yes, I wanted to do that, but I don't think I saw that as big of a thing as I do now. I thought of it as a little thing, and it is a little thing. It's a big thing, but it's a little thing.
Yes.
It's something that I do. A lot of people do it. But I think that what I realized is then when I did it, when I made that decision, or when I decided to start homeschooling my kids and pull them out of public school, when I was momming and wifing at that time, I wasn't doing it for the Lord. Sure. It wasn't something I was doing for him.
Sure.
So at some point, my perspective must have changed. And I thought maybe it was from when we did discipleship, and it would ask, I remember there being like a circle, and it was like God in the center. Mm-hmm. And then it had all these arrows that pointed away from it or connected other small circles. It was like your time, your relationships, your job, are those things for him? And at the time I wasn't. Now I've changed my perspective, and I do try to commit those things to him. And even though they're little, God can do a lot with it. And I think about like generational impacts that me being home with them can have, me being able to be home and have the energy to help Brandon with whatever he's got going on. And so, I don't know, I thought little is much when God is in it. All the things that I've done before aren't necessarily down the drain, but I think now they hold more value because I'm doing them for the Lord. And I made like a list of like, okay, what has God given me to do, whether great or small? And we may see it as small at some times, but it really is great. Small in our eyes, but great in God's eyes. Yeah. And the things that he can do with it. I'm just getting up every day and, I think about when our kids are little, you're just getting up every day and you're putting clothes on your kids. You're fixing their breakfast. And those things seem so tiny, but they're not really. But different things I have is, caring for my husband, caring for my children, caring for my home, my testimony, my witness. God gave me opportunity in all of those things for him to use. Mm-hmm. And none of those things make me wealthy. It says labor not for wealth or fame. None of those things are going to make me wealthy. They're not going to make me famous. They're not going to really provide a whole lot here on earth. My reward will be in heaven for those things. And I'm glad I recognized that. I'm glad I recognized how important the job that God has given me, how big that actually is. And if I just put forth those little efforts, God can bless those and do big things with those little efforts that I make, little sacrifices that I give, whether it be to my family, my friends, my parents, whoever. God can do a lot with a little. So
yeah, and I think there's that mind shift or mindset shift of, you're doing the things, you're being the mom, you're being the wife, like those roles didn't change. Right. Responsibilities didn't change, but the mindset behind why you're doing it.
Yes.
because it makes me think of that verse in Colossians. I think it's Colossians 3:23.
Yeah, I think you're right.
In whatsoever you do it heartily as unto the Lord.
Yeah.
And that verse has stuck with me just because no matter what I'm doing, whenever we're out of our house, we're always an example.
Absolutely.
To people that are around us or see us, right? People at work. They watch how we react to different things.
Yeah.
But they watch how we react to scenarios of life.
Yeah.
Right? And when we're inside our house, we can still be a witness and an example of bringing him glory.
Yeah.
And how things are to be done. We can still serve him and bring him glory.
Even in the little things.
Even in the little things. Even in the things of, cooking.
Yes.
Making meals for your family.
Yeah.
Laundry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Dishes. All the things.
Yeah. Cleaning the bathroom.
And I think he's more pleased because it's from a mindset that's doing it for him. Now, I don't claim to always have that mindset. Right.
Yeah.
I do complain. I do get frustrated at times. But when I check myself and just like the podcast, we talked about in the Fill Up My Cup segment, why are we doing what we're doing? Mm-hmm. You kind of have to just self-reflect a little bit. Mm-hmm. What's the motive behind what I'm doing? What's the why?
Yeah.
I want to do it for the Lord, and same thing. All the other things that I do that seem so small and so little, and who cares? Nobody's thanking me for this. I'm not getting any recognition for this, but it's not for them necessarily. It is, but it's not. I'm doing it for the Lord.
Yeah.
So I have to see it that way.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times we can think like, well, I want to do something great for God. Well, what does that mean? Does that mean, that means, I want to be a missionary or I want to be a pastor. And that's all
great desires.
Yeah, those are great desires. And if the Lord calls you to do that, then absolutely.
Yeah.
But it makes me think of that verse too of man looketh on the outward, but God looketh on the heart.
That's right.
So God can see our intentions. Mm-hmm. With that widow giving of her 2 mites, he saw her great. She gave of not
all she had.
Yeah, she gave not of her abundance, but of her want.
Yes.
She probably wanted to go home and eat that night, but she gave all her money. But the Lord saw that and he will take care of her for that. And just, to have that mindset of, that little as much when God is in it. And even in that last verse of that song, when the conflict here is ended and our race on earth is run, he will say to all the faithful, welcome home, my child well done. That's the goal.
Yeah.
Not to get, like you said, not to get praise or recognition here on earth I'm not doing it for other people. You had actually sent me something this week, an article that said, it was just talking about, it was a guy that had been in a paid ministry position and then how things he had learned or observed by no longer having that position and ministering in an unpaid position. One of the lines in there that really stuck out to me, I haven't read the whole article yet.
It's good. You gotta finish it. It is long, but it's good. You gotta finish it.
But one that stuck out to me was even if nobody claps, but Jesus sees it, that's enough.
Yes.
I'm just like, ooh.
Yeah.
That's it. So even just the mundane tasks that we do, it's a good reminder, like you said, we kind of have to do those evaluations. It's a good reminder that God knows my intentions. I also don't necessarily want to do things out of routine or obligation.
Yeah.
But these little tasks, even little tasks that he gives us to do, can still bring glory and honor to him.
Absolutely.
So
just have to recognize it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I even think this week when I was thinking about little as much when God is in it, just think about that little boy who had his lunch.
The fishes.
2 loaves of bread and 5 fish.
Yeah.
2 fish and 5 loaves, I remember.
Yeah.
I always kind of get them mixed up. I know it's 2 and 5.
Right, yeah.
But, he had his little lunch there for this kid. And there was over 5,000 people. Mm-hmm. And the Lord blessed it enough and made it to where they had 12 baskets of leftovers.
Yeah.
Little as much when God is in it.
Give what we have and let God do what he can do with it. I just think, lately it's been kind of, I don't know, weary in well-doing. And I mean, just as you're talking, it's making me realize, like, I may not have 100% to give that day. Mm-hmm. God may know that I only have 20% to give.
Yeah.
But if I'm giving my 20%, he can do a lot with that 20%.
Yes.
I just need to be willing to give that.
Yes.
And do it for him.
Yep. To everything there is a season. So yeah. That's the thing that kind of really stuck out with me this week was who's measuring? Like who's the one who sets the measurements?
Right.
God sets the measurements. Mm-hmm. Like you might feel like it's only 20%, but God sees that that's all that you have to give. It's 100% of what you have.
Yeah.
And when you give that to him, all right, well, here you go. Mm-hmm. Or he's just pleased by that. Of like, hey, did you notice?
That's comforting.
She's only got 20%.
To know that.
By golly, she's giving me all 20.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, he's just so good.
He's so good. He is.
So, I hope it's just an admonishment and an encouragement to anybody who's listening of like, I don't know, sometimes you go through your, like you said, it just has been somewhat weary lately. And sometimes you go through your day-to-day life and just think, all right, another work day, another work week is ahead or done. And I don't feel like I did anything for the Lord this week.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But little as much when God is in it, sometimes it's just being a smiling face. Because sometimes it's just a hug.
Yeah.
Because there have been times where you just need a hug.
Right.
I've had that. Where it's just like, I needed a hug and I didn't even realize it. But somebody gave me a hug and it was just what I needed.
Yeah, that's good.
Or even just sometimes a text of, well, like I mentioned in our Fill My Cup segment, that friend sent that text and it was just like, I needed that. And so then it can be something as little as that, but we don't always know the ripple effect.
And the impact it has on the person.
That can have on a person.
That's good.
Yeah, little as much when God is in it.
Mm.
Yeah, so with that, we'll go ahead and move right into our gratitude moment.
All right.
All right, Summer, what is your gratitude moment for this week?
So while I was gone, my husband decided to surprise me by redoing our garden. And so I got to come back to just planting it. And that was really nice. My garden is a new garden. It's only a couple years old, so still grass is coming through, lots of weeds and stuff. But we had some raised beds that we bought 2 years ago. He finally got those put in for me, got some rock put down to keep the weeds from coming up, built me a trellis, just made it very simple for me to come home because our planting season, our growing season is very short here. So it's like first weekend in June, plant. And I didn't come back till after the first week. So I wanted to get started and I was able to do that. And it's just so nice and clean out there. And I hope it stays that way, but it looks so good. And I'm just thankful that he did that while I was gone and all the people that helped him. He had a couple guys come over and help him. It's a lot of work. They had a lot of rock they were shoveling, and but it looks really good. And so I'm very thankful to come back to that.
It's a labor of love.
It is a labor of love, and I'm going to put in my labor of love too when I'm in there. Just less labor than what I've had to do the last couple years.
That's good.
Yeah, what about you?
For me, I'm thankful for the gift of hearing, being able to hear. I was getting ready and making some breakfast the other day, and usually part of my morning routine is I like to put some music on. And I usually like Pandora or something like that and just let it play, as I get ready in the morning. And then I was feeding our dogs and then making breakfast. And I was sitting at the kitchen sink and just thinking like, man, I can hear this. Like thank you, Lord, for the ability to hear. You can hear the birds chirp. You can hear music. Like I imagine church services for those who can't hear.
Yeah.
I actually came across an Instagram account where the guy, he's a Christian. It's like he does these little videos, little clips of like, this is how you sign Holy Spirit. This is how you sign. And he signs for some of those like praise and worship songs. And I've always wanted to learn ASL, sign language. And it's something I take for granted all the time.
Yeah, for sure.
Being able to hear.
Yeah, that's good.
Hear music or hear the voice of a loved one. Mm-hmm. That can be calming, or comforting when you need it. Hearing somebody laugh, hearing a group of laughter, people laughing. There's just such sweet sounds. And to be able to experience them, and they can stir up emotion within us. You hear a bunch of people laughing and it can bring joy. You can feel joy bubble up and spring up within within yourself. And then, there's just, I love that.
Or like a baby's laugh.
Yes.
in a video or something I watch. I like
Yes.
to watch those ones with babies just giggling, and their face is turning red, and you're like, breathe.
It's so funny.
But it is good.
Yeah. But I'm very thankful. I mean, I'm thankful for the gift of hearing, because sometimes I notice if you have a disability or a handicap or something like that, then the world isn't really made for you. Like, the world is harder to, and so, yeah, imagine that. Like, we don't have sign language interpreters. I remember we had a missionary that specifically was ministering to the deaf community where they were stationed.
Oh.
It's actually huge. You know, the number of people that are deaf, you know,
Sure.
or struggle with hearing and stuff like that. And so that's why it's like, I really would like to learn American Sign Language at least.
Yeah, that would be neat.
Yeah, just really made me appreciative of the gift of hearing.
Sure. Yeah, that's good. Something to consider. I definitely don't think about that. You know, you really just take it for granted, like you said.
So really thankful for that. And also really thankful for anybody who's listening to our podcast.
Mm-hmm.
With that, I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up for the week. Thank you for listening to the podcast. We appreciate it. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you can go ahead and click on that rating. And just go ahead and tap that 5-star rating on there. We're not going to be upset about it. We'll appreciate it.
Sure not.
You can like or comment on Spotify, YouTube, Substack, Apple Podcasts, not so much, but you can also do a review on Apple Podcasts. That would help us out. Just to get it out in front of other people. That's the reason why we ask you to do that. But we do appreciate you listening. You can join us over on Instagram and leave us a comment. If you enjoyed this episode, you can reach us at
strengthandsisterhoodpod@gmail.com
or find us on Instagram at
strengthandsisterhoodpod.
We would love to hear from you guys. So until next week, see you later.
Bye.
See ya.